Cut!
Hello!
Hiya,
I'm Jade.
and I'm Qubekani, and you're watching us clip here.
So today we have a video for you guys about applying to the University of Cambridge to study medicine and a bit about grades you might need for it and also how we got the grades we did during GCSE and A-level.
Exactly.
So this is the first part of our mini-series we're going to be doing about applying to Cambridge to study medicine. There we're going to do a video on writing personal statements and entrance exams and just general tips like that. Obviously a lot of it will be geared towards people applying for medicine, but there will be general tips in there that will be applicable for anyone. I know, we all know the struggle of writing a personal statement. So, yeah.
So the first thing we're going to talk about are the entry requirements. For medicine, Cambridge is 2 A stars and an A, and the IB is 40 to 42 points. With entry requirements, it's very useful to check them as early on as possible. Even if you're doing GCSEs, it will just give you something to work towards. Something to just keep in mind. So it will be useful to just keep an eye on the entry requirements because they may change year to year. And also, in particular with Cambridge or Oxford, where you can apply to colleges directly, it might be worth checking the specific college website because they might have slightly different entry requirements.
So next we'd just like to talk a bit about GCSEs. So obviously I studied my GCSEs a good 6-7 years ago now. Some of this might be a little bit out of date.
We're not that old though.
No, we're not. So GCSEs I studied, so at my high school I studied the course, so I had English literature, English language, maths. We had to do, I think, double science is it called? Where you do one in year 10, one in year 11, whatever that's called now. And those I think were just our core. And then in addition I studied triple science, so I did the individual science components. I did French and I studied art and IT. So feels a lot longer ago than it is. So in those subjects I did GCSEs in all of the language and science modules, and I did BTECs in art and IT. My school at the time was quite heavily pushing BTECs in those subjects, and they were the GCSE equivalent. So the results I got in GCSE were A star in English literature, maths, biology, chemistry, physics and French, and I got an A in my English language. And for the BTECs I got distinction star, like equivalent. And in terms of like workload during GCSE, I kept on top of my homework. I kept on top of my homework. I would work Monday to Friday. I would work in the evenings, not solidly all year. Like, don't feel like you have to work at like a really like solid steady pace all year because you will burn out. Like, you don't need to do that. But I would definitely say I tried to keep my weekends free and worked most evenings. And in terms of the type of revision I did, it was largely like I say, just keeping on top of work during the year. Obviously, I don't know if it's changed now, but we sometimes had exams in the March before the summer exams in the May-June time. So I would probably start revising around two to 3 months before.
Yeah.
Really started trying to revise. So for this, I would look at my workbooks from school, the notes we made in the lessons, my homework, because obviously it is all helping you to get towards the final goal, which is your GCSEs. So I definitely recommend that. But I think for me, I've always found it really useful, like looking at the specification, like what do you actually need to know? What could the examiner want so that you can't get a nasty surprise on the day? And I found the CGP revision guides really useful for this because they are largely just written based on the specification, so there will be something on each topic. And I learned by like repetition and like going over things a few times, so I found the revision guides so useful. So obviously it is worth like thinking about your GCSEs. It will count towards applying to medicine and or university in general. Exactly. So it is important, do stick in. But one thing I would say is that if you are interested in applying for medicine, do look at the different universities and see how your GCSEs will or do put you in terms of like what they expect. Because obviously in terms of like official GCSEs, I got my 6 A stars and 1 A, and this I don't think at the time of my like application, which was like 2012, 2013, I didn't have enough GCSEs for what Nottingham University were after, and I had really like looked into like applying there. And likewise I feel like when we applied, Oxford put a lot more emphasis on GCSEs than Cambridge, which really emphasised on AS level and your UMS. So I definitely used my grades to my advantage to try. You basically just need to make your application as strong as you can. And my GCSEs, in relative to my AS levels, weren't as high in terms of like the rankings. I don't think so.
No, I totally agree, because when I was applying, I also had done O-levels, so I didn't do GCSEs. I did O-levels when I was still in Zimbabwe. I had 8 A's and 2 B's, and quite a few of the universities here were saying I would have to redo GCSEs. But Cambridge was saying, you know, they'll just convert them to the equivalent. And Oxford, I remember, my application wouldn't have been as strong if I'd applied there. So it's worth bearing in mind your GCSEs when you apply. So now we're just going to talk about a bit more about A-levels. For AS, I did 4 subjects. Well, actually, I kept them all the way through. I did maths, physics, chemistry, and biology. In AS level, I got 4 A's. My average UMS was 90.6. As I said, for A level, I kept all 4 subjects. And in the end, I got 3 A stars and an A. The A was in maths. I think I missed an A star by 2 UMS. It was tough. So just in terms of revision that I did throughout my A levels, I think I worked most days throughout the year, just like slowly and not like stressing about things. And then about a month before, that's when I really started going to the library and reading things over and over again. And I think something that was quite useful was just to print the syllabus out, like know everything, every topic you've ever done, and gather up your notes like that you make in class. And then just as you said earlier, I learned by repetition as well. So the more times I read something like over and over again, it will just stick and I remember it for a very long time. So you have to play it to your strengths.
Definitely.
Really. If you're like us, then you have to really leave enough time to go over everything, like 2 to 3 times. That should put you in good stead for the exams.
Definitely. Based on your own revision method. Don't do that if you don't learn by repetition. So mine's pretty much a similar story. AS, I did biology, chemistry, physics and maths, and then I dropped physics for my A2 year. So I got an average of 93.3 at AS, 4 A's, and then at A-level, like I say, I dropped physics and I got 3 A stars there. So in terms of work, pretty much similar to GCSE, I went to a sixth one that's quite far away from where I lived. So I spent a large proportion of my day, I was out from 7, got back at 6 sometimes, like, so a large portion of my day was spent like studying at sixth form, travelling back. So in terms of work, I think I largely try to like revise, like look over the stuff I'd gone through that day, like on the night time, and then also try and look up a little bit about what I was going to do the following day. And that was kind of how I worked like Monday to Friday. And then on Saturdays I worked in a pharmacy, so Saturday was just a write-off. I didn't do any work then, ever, all during A-level. And then Sunday I largely spent just doing my homework, because I found that we didn't get as much at A-level, but it was easier to just sit down and get it all done. But it would take me a day to get all of my homework done for the week.
That's quite a lot of homework.
It was a lot. Not as much as GCSE, but it was still a lot. So yeah, and I think it was largely just similar kind of amount of work, probably that extra day of work compared to GCSE. And like I say, it wasn't always like work every day. Like you did have days off. You had breaks, you know, like it's
especially
not...
throughout the year.
Exactly, like there's so many other things going on. I think when you're like 17, 18, it's such a big age that like do extra things, get involved in stuff, like have a good time. Like it's great. Like, you can't have time and still get high grades. So anyway, similar work, just repetition, everything that Cube discussed before, and
it'll be a bit early to start thinking about your personal statement at the beginning of AS or anything.
Yeah.
But if you're doing work experience, like you worked in a pharmacy,
yeah,
so you can fill that extra time up with things like that. That will sort of pay dividend a bit later on in.
Yeah.
In
and I think similar to what Cube was saying before in terms of like when you started work, and I don't know if they still do them, but we had January exams and then the summer.
Yeah.
So I would probably have like kept up to date with my work during the first term and then just worked solidly over Christmas, which was always a bit bleak. Yeah. But you did 2 weeks of like really intense revision.
Yeah.
The exams when you got back and then repeat for the summer.
Exactly.
But I think January exams I always like left later to prepare because there's just so much to do in December. So
that's true.
Yeah. So I think it goes without saying, a resource that we both found like immensely useful during like GCSE and A-level was past papers for the exams. And this is obviously specific to the exam board and the course you're doing. Sometimes
Exactly.
like on multiple courses they do for the same subject.
Yeah.
But your school might provide you with like physical copies or links to them. But if they don't, find them on the internet. Like just Google the exam board, find the past papers. There will be a bank of like however long. And even if they've changed the course, it is just sometimes worth looking at the way they write the exams and so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely, if you can't find them on the internet, ask your teachers. Find a way, like past papers are really useful.
Yeah, I mean with past papers then you start to get an understanding of, you know, your model answers, your buzzwords that you need to include, like in chemistry or I don't know if they still have buzzwords in biology. The sort of things you have to include to like get the marks. So the way I used past papers was in twofold. One was to just skim through them at the beginning of the year, just to get an idea of how the questions are asked, the sort of answers I'll be expected to give, and it sort of helped direct my learning. So to point me in the right direction. Like, you know, when you're revising like a lot of notes, then you sort of pick out the important things because you know the style of questions that's going to come up. And then the second way was to, obviously, just a few weeks before exams, to test out my knowledge. Like, have I learned everything I need to learn? And also to expose any gaps in the knowledge, and also to help me fill them when I find them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think a bit of a difference between Cube and I with that is that I didn't like to use papers too early in the year, simply because I would rather go off the specification, because the papers are written based on the specification. So like it's two sides of a coin, you know, like it is, and obviously a paper won't test every part of the specification, is something else to keep in mind. But I would rather leave them later in the year to start. So when I start my revision, like 2 to 3 months before, that is when I get the exam papers. And I will have looked at some questions during the year. But that is when I get the paper out and I'm like, right, I'm going to sit and do this in like 45 minutes or an hour and mark it then. Because I find that the more you do them, the more you find the buzzwords, the more you remember the type of answers they're after. And then I worry that you get to a point where you're like, do I actually know this, or is it just because I know the answer that was in the mark scheme? In that sense. But it, like, there's no right or wrong, but definitely use them. They are like that, and the specification can guide your learning no end. So
obviously we're just saying what we did. So you can try those things out, see if it works for you, or you can try them, modify them a bit, and make it your own.
Let us know what works for you, basically.
Exactly.
So we're always learning. We always want to know different ways. So
and as you go through your education, you change your revision techniques. Like a lot, like we have as well. So those are all the tips we have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any more comments, questions, put them in the comments below, or send them on our social media, and we will reply to you as quickly as we can. And also we can just cut them together and do a Q&A video at some point.
Bye guys.
Bye.